Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. We are live on CTV and Talk City 91.1 FM, streaming live on ctvtt.com. We invite you to drop us a line on any of our various social media platforms. We'd love to hear from you. We also ask you to download our CTV app for the very latest in news, current affairs, and trending topics on our program. We continue to talk about the need for diversification. We continue to talk about empowering businesses and entrepreneurs to get out there and step into the realm, new realms, taking risks. And here this morning we have the Ministry of Trade and Industry. They continue to inform us on the programs and initiatives that they will be embarking on to impact and benefit us here in society. Joining us, we have Chairman of the Trinidad and Tobago Fair Trading Commission, Dr. Ronald Ramkissoon. We also have Director of the Trinidad and Tobago Fair Trading Commission, Bevan Narayan Singh, and he's actually the Executive Director. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
So many would like to know, what is this Fair Trade Commission all about?
Well, the Fair Trade Commission, which was set up under the Act in 2006, is an organization that forms part of the business architecture, if you will, to ensure that there is fair competition amongst businesses in Trinidad and Tobago. Competition, we believe, is very important for economic development and for the right type of economic development, so that there is the link between competition and competitive businesses, competitive firms that would redound to the benefit of the consumer, of course, and in the broader context to the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. And under the Act, we are charged with ensuring that we have practices in the business community which encourages competition, or put another way, which discourages anti-competitive behavior by businesses.
Okay, so how is this really achieved? How do you go about, or how does this, how do you achieve this? How do you go about ensuring that there is fair competition? What does this really involve?
Well, it basically means under the legislation, we as a commission, we have three broad roles, I would say. We are an advisor to stakeholders, including governments, the business communities, about the benefits of competition and what that will entail. We are also advocates for competition. Like, this is an example of this. We're here with you this morning. We also have workshops and seminars extolling the benefits of a more competitive business environment. And lastly, we'll be an investigator and an enforcer of, in the event that there is anti-competitive activity, we would be investigating these types of activities with the goal of trying to do away with those activities, with the objective being the betterment of business practices in Trinidad and Tobago.
Just to clear the air, what is really unfair competition or anti-competitive behavior?
Unfair behavior, business behavior, would be where companies take advantage, unfair advantage of a particular market. Okay. Instances where you might have companies being prevented unfairly from entering a particular market, whether that market is for goods, whether it is for services, any practice that prevents fair competition. So we see competition as necessary, but it must be fair. So you do not want illegitimate businesses, illegitimate practices, which would result in higher than normal prices for the consumer. And the consumer can be other businesses who would purchase intermediate products from existing businesses, so that we have that broader concept. Yes. And that is very important for us to remind ourselves. So anything that, and the Act is specific in respect of what businesses are not allowed to do. Of course, these practices that are considered proper have been in the various acts, and various countries all over the world for many years now have in fact been enforcing proper conduct of businesses, because there's the view that the market economy needs to have proper businesses, competitive businesses, if these economies are to grow.
Yes. So when you talk about actually conducting your job, you spoke a little bit about investigations taking place. How does this work?
Well, investigations will be based on the legislation. We, of course, are a creature of statute, so anything we do will be based on the legislation. So in the event that we receive a complaint, or even out of our own volition, just to add to what the chair was saying, specific anti-competitive activities would include things like bid rigging, group boycotts, collusion to get businesses out, abuse of a dominant position where you charge exorbitant prices and things like that. That's how we would get involved. So the process would be, we would be investigating, of course in accordance with the law, and follow due process. And based on the investigations, we would, well, ideally bring in the entity and ask the entity to stop this practice, give them a certain amount of time. And in the event that they don't do that, then we will have no choice but to have recourse to the courts.
So you all mentioned that you also have workshops and seminars to help to educate persons on proper, conducting fair competition. And that's how often do you have these workshops?
Well, we had a lot last year because there was assistance from the European Union. So we had workshops, but of course it was targeted towards certain stakeholders. But in addition to that, I do go out and do public education and sensitization with specific entities who, if they request us to do so. So we are willing to do more if, indeed, if, well, we'll give you our contact details.
Sure.
And indeed, if anyone wants to hear from us, we will be more than willing to assist. We also do training manuals as well too for stakeholders, especially some of the larger business entities, because this is a part of their overall work with respect to compliance. So we will assist with that as well too.
Dr. Ramkisoon, based on your experience, do you think we have a problem here in Trinidad and Tobago as it pertains to unfair competition?
Well, we do not, the FTC does not want to prejudge the situation. We have heard comments. We live here in respect of practices by various businesses. We would have consumers calling in, other businesses calling into the FTC and complaining, so that we do not want to, as it were, preempt the investigations that we are in the process of conducting. And that is indeed how we are going to operate. We are not going to get into this in respect of any, we're not coming to it with any preconceived ideas, but we are going to focus on good research, on scientific evidence in respect of whatever practices we wish to investigate, and then, of course, in respect of whatever action we wish to take to, in the first instance, encourage, and that is really our first remit, if you like, to encourage businesses to desist from practices which are anti-competitive, which are not in keeping with a proper market economy, if you like. And that would be our first thrust. Of course, if businesses choose not to conduct themselves in a manner that is beneficial to the environment, then the FTC would have to go to the next stage.
What is a dominant enterprise, and what is meant by the abuse of dominant position?
Well, under the legislation, it depends on how you define the market. You define the market product-wise as well as geographic-wise, but we're a small country, so it's more product-wise. Under the legislation, a dominant position is adjudged as being 40% market share.
Okay.
And abuse of dominant position would be, for instance, you using your market power to create artificial barriers to entry, to stop potential rivals from entering the market, things like that. But just to add, though, that the fact that you have that market power in itself is not a problem. We're not against any entity having market power. It's the abuse of market power is where the issue arises. In fact, that if you have your power through your skill, your fortitude, your innovation, your insight, we actually encourage that, because that's why you get into business, basically, to succeed and make as much profit as possible. But it's the abuse of that power is where we as a commission would get involved.
Great.
So that's where the issue lies.
Do we have an issue where we have the abuse of market power here in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, I'm saying that we live here, there are allegations which are made, and we are going to pursue complaints. We are going to pursue allegations in respect of our research. And so whatever we do would be based on scientific evidence.
Great.
And there are ways of measuring. I think it is very important to repeat the point made by our executive director, Bevan Narain, that is, businesses can be of whatever size. The important point is that they arrive there through innovation, through good business practices. What we are against is businesses using that dominance to take advantage, undue advantage of the market.
Great.
And that is our intention.
In our closing 20 seconds, how can businesses contact the Fair Trade Commission?
Okay, and it's the Fair Trading Commission.
Yes, sorry, my bad.
Yes, we can be contacted at tntftc@gmail.com. You can also contact us at 623-2931. You can also be contacted via our LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as Twitter pages, because we have also a vibrant social media presence.
Great, thank you so much. Definitely a pleasure chatting with you. The Fair Trading Commission, we've been talking to the chairman of the Trinidad and Tobago Fair Trading Commission, as well as the executive director. News is up next. Stay tuned.